Hey, CityCast listeners, it's Megan. If you've been to the Strip, gosh, in the last 10 years, you know a lot has changed. And in a lot of ways, the anchor to all that is the Strip District Terminal. The historic 5-block building used to be the source for all the produce in Pittsburgh. And now it's an all-day destination for shopping, dining, working out, and more. There's the market on Saturdays, performances on Sundays, parking and retail discounts on Tuesdays. Check it all out for yourself in person and at stripdistrictterminal.com. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a sports town, but what happens if you don't find your sport until your 50s, your 60s, into your 70s and 80s? Maybe there are big advantages to exercising your competitive edge a little later in life. Well, 10,000 people are headed to Pittsburgh next week for exactly that. The National Senior Games are happening downtown, and we're with one local organizer who says it's never too late to find your thing. It's Wednesday, June 28th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. Nancy Brown is the president of the Western Pennsylvania Senior Olympics. Nancy, is that different than the Senior Games? How do you know what to call what?
Well, the National Senior Games is a national organization, and they promote the sports in all of the United States. And our organization is actually a Pittsburgh or actually Butler-based organization, and we are 85 women strong. We have 85 women who play basketball and or volleyball.
Wow.
And so, yeah, we are just a very local organization. Now, we're called Western Pennsylvania, but we have athletes in the middle of Pennsylvania. We have some out near Philadelphia. We even have a few out of state because somebody knows somebody and we need a player on a team. And so it kind of just grows. But our organization was started in 1998, and we are a nonprofit organization. So we raise money to fund our equipment, our uniforms and such, some of our travel. And then when the Nationals come, which is this year in Pittsburgh, we are ready to play and have a good time.
Nancy, do you mind if I ask how old you are?
Yes. According to the sport, the Senior Games,
yeah,
I'm 70, but I won't really be 70 until October. But on the first day of the year, you are the age that I can play as a 70-year-old because I'll be 70 this year.
Okay. Does that give you a competitive advantage being a few months younger than your basketball or your volleyball court is?
I sure hope so. Yeah, on my team, the 70s team this year, we actually have three of us that are just 70. So we've got a pretty young team, I think.
Did you play, basketball, volleyball, any of these sports as a younger person?
I played softball when I was young, from when I was like 7 to when I graduated from high school. Then I had to get a job, so I didn't play as much. Or I quit playing, actually. And then when I met my husband, we were playing pickup volleyball. It was mostly a couples thing. It was at a school gym once a week in the evening. And then we would go out to the local bar and close the bar at 2:00 in the morning. And
that's the way to do it in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And then get up and go to work the next day. But we did it every week, and it was a good time. But then when I had my kids, I quit playing for 20 years because I just didn't have the time, working full time, raising 2 children, just didn't have the time for that. So it was 20 years later when I was 57 that I thought, okay, I'm going to go back. And ironically, the same group of people that was playing 20 years before, a few of them, the core people, were still playing at the same place.
Wow.
So I went back, and after a few weeks, there was a new girl there, and she asked me, I was 57 at the time, and she asked me how old I was. That's usually the first question that we ask any potential player.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm 57. She said, well, do you want to come practice with us? we play volleyball. We have a women's group, and she's telling me about it. And so I went to practice, and that's how I got started with this group.
Nancy, you got scouted.
I got scouted, yeah. It was myself and another girl. We both got asked what our ages were, and so yep, we've been playing ever since.
Well, so let's say it's been a minute maybe since you've done something athletic. Do you think that there are any sports that are maybe especially good for beginners, with an eye towards something like the senior games?
There are so many sports in the senior games. I don't know if you know that there's like 19 different sports.
What are they?
I can read off the list. There's team sports, basketball, volleyball, softball, cornhole, they call that a team sport, pickleball, shuffleball, table tennis, volleyball. And then there are individual sports, archery, badminton, bowling, cycling, golf, power walking, race walking, racquetball, road race, which is the 10K and the 5K, soccer, swimming, tennis, all your track and field events, triathlon, and tri-relay.
Some of those sound incredibly challenging, especially, I mean, I'm in my 30s. I'm just imagining trying to do some of those right now. Like that seems like hard.
But as far as someone trying to get back into sports or not having done much sports, I mean, cornhole, is an easy on your body sport for sure. Shuffleboard, I wouldn't recommend table tennis because if you get the chance to go to the convention center during the senior games and watch some table tennis, they are amazing.
Are they the fiercest competitors, do you think?
They probably are. They're whaling that ball, and it's fierce. So that's not an easy sport to start at a later age to play in the senior games anyway.
Do you think that there are any sports that are maybe kinder because they have fewer competitors, like your odds are just a little bit better?
Well, I know on my volleyball, there's less teams when you get to my age. I think we have 15 teams or something like that. But when you are the younger ages, they have 20 and 30 teams to compete against.
What about the courts and things like that? Like, for volleyball, is the net the same or the court size the same? For basketball, are the balls the same size? How does it work?
I'm not sure about the men. I think the men's nets are higher. The women's I know they're lower as you get older. I can't give you the exact height, but I know
they kind of scale based on
yes.
ability and age.
Yes, and that can be a disadvantage because I'm 5'2", and we play some teams in my younger years of women who played volleyball all through college, and they stuck together.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're all giants, and they can the lower the net, they can just get up there and slam the ball down. But it's all, it's fun.
Hey Pittsburgh, it's Megan. If you're craving a delicious scoop on a hot summer day, get yourself up to Bakery Square, the new local home for Jenny's ice cream in Pittsburgh. I know, it's sort of sacrilegious here to love an Ohio brand this much, but y'all, I have been a Jenny stan for years. Their flavors are so creative. The brown butter almond brittle, the brambleberry crisp, and they have dairy-free and gluten-free flavors too. Their cold brew one, it is almost better than actual coffee. And one day, I might even plug up the courage to try the everything bagel. My friend Laura says it's divine. I'm so stoked that I can finally get my from-scratch Jenny's Fix right here in Pittsburgh, even at Target, Whole Foods, or Giant Eagle. Find all their flavors and fun facts at Jenny's, that's JENIS.com.
Blazing deals, boundless options. It's Hot Grill Summer at Whole Foods Market from June 14th through July 4th. Fire up the grill with quality cuts at the best prices. We're talking animal welfare certified meat. Check out the sales on bone-in ribeye, beef kebabs, and New York strip steak. Round out your barbecue with plant-based proteins, sliced cheese, soft buns, and all the condiments. Plus, sales on fresh strawberries, peaches, and more. Don't forget the pie either. Get grilling at Whole Foods Market. Terms apply.
How would you describe the vibe at the senior games? What kind of, I don't know, what does it feel like to be in the room as it starts?
It's just exciting. They'll have 30 pickleball courts and 30 volleyball courts. Now, this is in the convention center. There are certain sports that are in the convention center: table tennis, shuffleboard, volleyball, basketball, and pickleball will all be in the convention center. And it's just great. There's a thing called Athletes Village.
Just like the Rio Olympics.
Yes, it's just there. It is a lot like the real. I mean, they gear it a lot around that, and it's where a lot of vendors are, and they have activities for you. They have a fitness thing you go through, and a lot of little fun things to do. And of course, they want to sell you all their creams and lotions and everything for all of our arthritis and joints. But we get a lot of handouts and get to talk to a lot of people. But the vibe is just great.
What about the community? Do you get to see a lot of friends that maybe you haven't seen in a couple of years?
Well, we see the ones we know mostly at our local tournaments. But yeah, then you run into the same teams again year after year, whenever you go to the nationals. And sadly, you find out that a few aren't with us anymore. And, that's not nice, but that's life, I guess. And, you get to be friends with other teams and other players along the way.
You mentioned the creams and lotions. I just had a baby, for example. I can imagine that the demands after many years removed are different if you're training for a sport when you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s versus, when most of us got into athletics, if we did in middle school or high school or even our 20s. How do you go about exercising and kind of existing in that community at a different age?
Well, I have a new hip. It's a couple years old now. Yeah, I got a hip replacement a couple years ago. And
will this be the hip's first competition? Big competition?
No, last year, Fort Lauderdale was supposed to be 2 years ago.
Okay.
The Nationals, and it was actually last year because of COVID.
So road tested. You're ready.
It was ready to go, yes. And so I do stretches every morning just to keep fit. I'm not a runner. I don't like to run. I don't like to lift and do a lot of strength training, but I do my stretches and try to keep fit.
Yeah, I can imagine there's a fair number of that, folks with hip replacements, with knee replacements, with things like that.
Shoulders, knees, and hips. Yep.
Do you think there are any advantages maybe to trying a new sport later in life?
Oh, sure. I think it keeps you healthy. I actually, when I retired in 2015, in May of that year, I retired at the beginning of the year. So in May of that year, I was having some difficulty and went to the doctor, and I ended up having 3 stents in my arteries. I had some blockage. Wow. And so I believe that my sports are keeping me going and keeping my heart healthy.
Yeah.
Just the activity level and the cardio you get out of it.
What would your advice be to someone who might feel, a little intimidated, I guess, by starting out a little bit later?
Just get out there and give it a try. We, for our organization, we invite people to come to practice, and I always tell them, just come and give it a try and see if you're a good fit and we're a good fit for you, vice versa. And people will come maybe 4 or 5 times, and they kind of know by then whether it's something that they want to pursue or not. And, other sports, if you have the chance to just go somewhere and play it low key, to get started and then take it from there. If you want to continue, then you pursue it a little bit further.
Can folks come down and root you on? Would you want that? Do you want local spectators?
Yes, absolutely. There's no fee to get in the convention center to watch any of the sports, so people can come down. I have some family that's going to come down, and they can come root us on, that's for sure. There will be a celebration of athletes at PNC Park on July 14th, and it includes the Pirate Game. You know how the Olympics parade into an arena by country?
Yeah.
Well, we will parade in by state. They'll announce each state, and we all come in carrying a flag, and it's a lot of fun. And then the other event is the flame arriving ceremony. They'll have a flame. Someone's going to run across one of the bridges with a torch, and they are going to run it all the way up in the convention center to the top of the convention center, and that's where the arrival will be, and they're going to have entertainment up there. And so they have a lot of things going on, and it's going to be an exciting event.
We'll make sure we put a schedule of events in our show notes if anyone wants to go down to the convention center and show Nancy some hometown pride.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
A little news before you go. Long-time District Attorney Stephen A. Zappala is still in the race to keep his office. Zappala has been a Democrat for more than 20 years, but he lost the Democratic primary in April to his challenger. That's public defender Matt Dugan. But some county Republicans decided a progressive was just one step too far, so they wrote in Zappala's name on the Republican side. And this week, Zappala accepted that GOP nomination. Their rematch will be in November. And some fun hockey news. The Pens finalized their preseason schedule. All the usual suspects, Detroit, Columbus, and Buffalo. And another one of those split squad games where half the team plays in the afternoon and the other half plays at night, usually without all their big stars. But there's one unusual one on the schedule, the Nova Scotia Showdown. Try saying that 6 times fast, which will be played 10 miles from Sidney Crosby's hometown. Now, usually the big guns do not travel for stuff like this, but he loves going home. So even if Sid does not take the ice, I would be shocked if he's not lurking around somewhere supporting the team. Now, just a casual 3 more months until the puck drops in Pittsburgh. That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. Let us know what you like, what you don't. You can always reach us on Twitter and Instagram at CityCastPGH or via email. That's pittsburgh@citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, I do have a cat that he's outside the room, but he may start banging at the door. He likes to be with me.